Let's get into our second topic of this podcast. Let's get into J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt getting cut by the Houston Texans. Jack Easterby and J.J. Watt obviously make an agreement to let go the longtime Houston Texan, the guy who was one of the best, or the best defensive player in the league, hands down at one point in his career. In his prime, I remember watching the NFL Honors back when he was in the running for the MVP. I wanted him to win the MVP so bad. I can't remember who won it that season. It might have been like Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers. It was definitely a quarterback, but he deserved the MVP that season, and it was really sad that he didn't get it. But I remember them putting up the nominees for Defensive Player of the Year, and they showed like Defensive Player of the Year nominees, and you know how they do like the whole cool video thing, and they had the hype trap, and it's like J.J. Watt, and they show all the highlights and everything. And then after J.J. Watt, they just cut the video. There's no other nominees. It was just J.J. Watt, and it was just unbelievable. It was hilarious because he was that dominant that season that no one even competed at the same level that J.J. Watt did, and he just walked away with that award easily. So that was something that was really entertaining in J.J. Watt's career. Obviously in Houston, made a huge impact in Houston, not only on the field, but off the field. When the flood hit Houston, obviously he had a huge impact there, donating lots of money. I'm pretty sure he took home a Walter Payton Man of the Year award. He helped the Texans a lot. The Texans were a good team at some points. They never got to the point where they were really contending for a Super Bowl. You had those seasons with the line, like Jadeveon Clowney is one of my favorite players in the whole league. I don't know, where's my Clowney Texans jersey? I think it's in my closet. I should have put that up back there. But when they had Clowney, when they brought him on the same line with J.J. Watt, and I think you had Vince Wilfork too, I thought about that defense as high as they could be because that was really exciting for me. I still am a huge Jadeveon Clowney fan. J.J. Watt's on there. Vince Wilfork is obviously a huge guy. But this team had the capabilities, especially when you had Deshaun Watson early on. The Chiefs game, you're up like 24-0 or something. You just can't close that game out. There's just some years where the Texans just could not do enough to be that Super Bowl contending team, and it hurt them. It honestly did. Like, you look, what if they beat the Chiefs? That one, instead of blowing that 24-point lead, what if they beat the Chiefs? It would be very, very interesting to see what happens. They could have gone to the Super Bowl easily. They just played their division rival in the Tennessee Titans in the AFC Championship. You win that game, next thing you know, you're in the Super Bowl against a team who lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, who you would have won. It's just all speculation again, but just very interesting to think about. J.J. Watt landing spots. There are a bunch of different places. I think that he could go anywhere. Like, he honestly has the capability to go anywhere, and he's going to make a decent amount of money. I'm not saying that he's going to get max contract as he would have if he was in his prime coming out of this, but don't get me wrong, JJ Watt is still going to be an impactful player nonetheless to whatever team he goes for. I think DeAndre tweeted at him or something. He was like, let's go finish business or something like that. So he wants him in Arizona. I don't think Arizona's going to happen. It's just like DeAndre was like, oh, we played in Houston. Why not we finish the job out in Arizona now, you and me together, let's go win a Super Bowl. I don't think that's going to happen. My top 3 picks right now, and for good reason, I'd go number 3. Now you might be like, oh no, you got a Chicago Bears jersey in the background. And if you know me, I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan. If you're watching the podcast, you're listening on the podcast, you obviously know that you don't see a Chicago Bears jersey. So for the people watching this, you see the Bears jersey. I'm a big Chicago Bears fan, but this isn't biased that I'm picking the Chicago Bears at 3 because J.J. Watt's wife plays on the Women's Hockey League team in Chicago. So there might be a big push there. If you join that defensive line with Khalil Mack, you'd have Akeem Hicks on the inside too. You have Bilal Nichols, who have played some amazing snaps during the end of the season last year. You have Robert Quinn, obviously. He didn't do that much for the Bears last season, but the Bears defense is definitely really good, and just adding J.J. Watt on there would help that defense grow even more, and he's just a great leader. He's a guy that you want in your locker room, and just a guy to create a culture in your locker room that we're here to win and do nothing else, and just a guy to really rally around. He would be great for the Bears. I'd love to get J.J. Watt. His wife is in Chicago already, so who knows? We could see J.J. Watt in the Navy and the Orange for next season. I'd love it. As a Bears fan, of course, I'd be through the roof if we got another amazing defensive player. Obviously, we still need a quarterback, but I'd take J.J. Watt 10 times out of 5 times, if you want to call it that. I'm taking J.J. Watt any day of the week. I don't care how much money we have to throw down for him. Just get him on the team. We need a locker room change, and he is the guy to be able to do that. Number 2, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's obvious. This could be the obvious number one for some of you guys because you got to finish off the Watt trio in Pittsburgh. You got TJ, you got Derek out there. Obviously, TJ is already one of the best, if not the best defensive player in the NFL, especially last season, although the NFL did think differently because Aaron Donald took home that trophy, even though it should have been TJ Watts, and you have Derek Watt, the fullback for the Steelers. Why not go play with all your brothers? This might be your last chance to do it. Yeah, I could see it easily happening. Like this one between the Steelers and my number one, which we're going to get to later, I think could clearly happen. I think that the Steelers have an amazing chance just because there's two brothers on that team. I don't think there's anything overly sexy about Pittsburgh in general, other than the fact that it's two brothers are there. They got a really good defense already, but that team has some problems. That team has some social media problems, if you want to call it that, or just guys who Pittsburgh is a team that needs a JJ Watt. They need someone to get those guys in line sometimes, because you start out the season 11-0 and then finish off the season the way you did with losses to like Washington and Cincinnati and then losing to Cleveland in the what was it, the wild card round. Pittsburgh has a lot of leadership to be done, and I think JJ Watt would be a great guy to go in there, and obviously you get to play with your three brothers, which I think that would be an amazing story, and I'm pretty sure his parents would love that. They just moved to Pittsburgh and get to watch their three sons play football all at the same time and not have to have Red Zone on the TV or whatever, or go to one game, go to JJ's game, and then have Red Zone on your phone to watch what Derek and TJ are doing over in Pittsburgh. No, you can have all of them right there in the stadium. I think that would be great. Number one for JJ Watt to finish it off, Green Bay Packers. I hate to say it because I'm a big Bears fan. The last team I want him to be on is the Green Bay Packers, because obviously I'm a big Bears fan and I hate the Packers. The Packers are my least favorite team in the NFL. No questions about it. But he's a Wisconsin boy, played for the Wisconsin Badgers, and I could see him going up back north 100%. The Packers, what were they? The number one seed in all the NFC last year. They're a good team. They got a really good defense, and just add to the defense. Who cares if your defense is already good? It can always be better, and adding a guy like JJ Watt, again, he's a great leader. The Packers' problems were really on offense this season. Like Aaron Rodgers in that game against, who was it, the Buccaneers? They could have done way better. Obviously, the Packers' secondary needs some help, but that's not J.J. Watt's role. I think he would still be an amazing fit in the Packers, just strengthening that defensive line, and I could see him going back home 100%. I think that was where I'd put my money on. As soon as I saw it got released, I was like, yeah, he's going to the Packers. I think he's going to the Packers 100% because he was a Wisconsin Badger too, so he's used to playing up there. He loves it up there. That's where he's from, and he was a Packers fan growing up. So I got Bears 3, Steelers 2, and then you got the Green Bay Packers at number 1 for JJ Watt sweepstakes.